Hello, I'm Gregory Hoag, here today with my wife Gail, and what we want to share with you today is an understanding how sacred geometry can support you with wealth and prosperity. Now, there's a phrase that's often used in the New Age community, infinite abundance. And it's there. It really is. This is a universe filled with infinite abundance. But it's challenging to make that real in our lives. I mean, it's like you think about, well, what's my life like? Is it really experiencing? Am I experiencing infinite abundance? Do I see the world? Do I see what's going on in other countries where people are suffering? Where does that phrase fit in? Is it real? And that's where I think that sacred geometry has really helped move me in consciousness to a level where I can literally start connecting in on those higher levels to that infinite abundance and bring it into this dimension. And that's what we're going to talk more about today.
That phrase, infinite abundance, I remember the first time that I read it. It was in a book by R. Buckminster Fuller. And he was an amazing inventor. He invented the geodesic dome. And he did so much with geometry. And his concept was when you really look out at the world which is always creating more, which is always bringing new life into this wonderful earth, the seeds that offer so much new life. We are here in a world that has tremendous, tremendous opportunity and value and resources for us. But one of the things that we've learned over time is something about scarce resources. We've been taught from the very beginning that we have to fight over different things, that there's not enough for everyone. And so our thought processes, our upbringing, has put us into a place of feeling like we have to compete for what's there, rather than recognizing that the gift of nature, the gift of this reality, is that there is so much. And in addition to that, we are creative beings, and we can create more and more and more. And so it's all about, what are we really focused on? Are we focused on lack, or are we focused on abundance, on the value for the good of all? And that is a very important conversation in how we see abundance and prosperity reflected into our lives. So, for instance, if you're finding that you don't have what you really want, the resources that you're working with in your life are not really supporting what you want, then it's very important to take a look at what you've created, what your thoughts, what your intent has developed for you. Are you, as Buckminster Fuller would say, he said, you could come to this ocean of infinite abundance. You can come with a little teaspoon, or you can come with a pickup truck. What do you decide to do? It's up to you. And so it's wonderful for us to look at nature and energy, abundant, incredible energy, and see what we can tap into together. I was just watching this really wonderful interview with an astrophysicist who was looking at new pictures coming back from the Hubble telescope. And what they were seeing were sextillion galaxies that are out there in the world that they had no idea were there. And there was another astrophysicist, another scientist who's won Nobel Prizes, and he was saying there's more stars out there than there are grains of sand all over the entire earth. Imagine how much there is there. And we are made up of some of those very galactic resources. It's quite amazing who we are and what is at our disposal.
When we work with wealth and abundance, we often look out and see what it is in the world that we want, and see what it is in the world that we don't have. And so it's a focus that takes us out. And yet, to really be successful in creating what is going to support us, what is going to serve us, it has to start inside. So that orientation has to be totally switched if we're going to be successful in this world. We have to switch it so that it begins within us. And as we've been talking about, we have to go to the highest levels, and we have to be in that clear state. It's important that when we bring in the intent, that it's a coherent intent, and most importantly, it's an intent that sees us already having the fruits of our labors displayed around us, feeling that energy around us, feeling that joy and that happiness. You see, negative emotions are really blocking the flow of that energy from the heart, blocking that flow of energy from higher self. It's when we feel the joy that comes naturally with that higher connection to higher self, when we feel that joy in our lives, when we feel that love, and then we marry that to our intent in our visions, in our meditations, in our thoughts, in our daily feelings, our daily actions, we start putting out a resonance. We start creating something that vibrates at a level with that love. That love takes that vibration to a very high frequency, and that starts attracting to us the kind of people, the kind of elements that we had no idea that we wanted. You can't figure it out in your head. You can't pre-write the whole thing and go, this is how my life is going to unfold. You need to simply be in that space of love and joy and the intent that things are shifting for you, and they are shifting for the better because you feel it, you know it, you taste it, you feel it in every single aspect of all your senses. And then you're in a joyful space where you just allow. You allow universe to step in and take care of you. We were experiencing a space where we're going, Gail goes, sales are down. And what we do when we have that situation, the first thing we do is we start meditating in the mornings and in the evenings. Some of the forms, we love to meditate with the forms because they take us so deeply. And they give us, for me, I have to say, they give me such a feeling of connection and love and presence. And then it's almost like, I don't care about anything other than just this energy, this love, this presence. And then the next day, someone calls us up and says, I am doing this festival, I am doing this program, I am having these people come in, I want to support you this way, I want to do this, I love what you're doing. All those, we had several calls the next day. That's the way it works. It starts with us doing our work on the inside, and then the outside starts playing itself out naturally, as you would expect.
We've talked about this before, that energy is about flow. Energy flows. there's no stagnation. Or if there is stagnation, when you look at a stagnant pond of water, there's no life force there. You want to have flow. And so that's an important aspect of this conversation, because oftentimes in relationship to money and how we've thought about it, we've often thought about, how do I stockpile it? Or how do I get enough of something that I think I need so that I can be safe? Instead of recognizing that there is this wonderful flow that we are a part of, that we can take advantage of, that we can dip our feet into and swim into if we want to. And money is a flow. When we enable money to flow into our lives and out to others, then we are respecting what money is about. And many of us have thoughts and beliefs about money that have put all kinds of labels on it, like money being dirty, or money not being spiritual, or there's not enough money, or there's only certain people that have the money, whatever it is. There's all of these very interesting concepts. And all they are just thoughts. So my question to you is, what thoughts are you holding that don't truly serve you in this moment, in what you want to create for your life? Instead, you have the opportunity right now to get back into that flow and to create that unity. Because what money really offers us is unity. It's the ability for us to share our gifts, our services, what we feel that our creative mode is about, to share it with you, and then you share with us the benefits of what your creativity, your gifts, your work, your love is about. And that is a miraculous thing, to be in a system that enables us to be able to share the value of what we all do from all parts of the world. So when we look at money and energy, as a flow, then we can redefine, we can create a new field, a new context that says, I want to play, I want to participate full on, I want to enjoy the benefits. And when we do that, then we are operating from principles of prosperity and abundance.
And when you work with money as a measure of how things are going in your life, or how the business is working that you're involved in, then it becomes something that makes more sense. It's just a measure. It's a feedback loop. It's not something that you have to go after in and of itself. It's just a reflection of how well things are going. And when things aren't going well, I talked a little earlier about how it's important to focus on what's real inside, and sometimes it's necessary to use, like some of the tools we have, to take a look from a higher perspective, and we look down and say, well, is there some place where things are off? Is there some place where we're blocking that flow with our emotions, or our attitude, or our fears, or our concepts? Or are we blocking it sometimes with some of the ways we're doing things, some of the ways that we are not marketing correctly? I mean, there are all kinds of perspectives that we can have from that higher perspective that give us feedback. And then we have the energy with these tools, with sacred geometry, to be able to direct our intent, to direct our focus into the areas that need enlightening, into the areas that need expanding, into the areas that need changing and need transformation. And that's what's so powerful about working with sacred geometry in creating a life of abundance and wealth because it flows almost naturally, that abundance and wealth, because we are ourselves coming into alignment with universe, which, as we started out at the beginning of this conversation, we said is infinite abundance. But you can't experience infinite from the 3D body. You have to move out of your body to start to touch upon infinite. It's bigger than everything, bigger than all of us.
And so, in order to be able to play with that infinite opportunity, it's so important to use our senses in an enhanced way. So, for instance, that's where intuition is so important. Awareness, alertness to what's happening. Instead of looking at, well, what do I have right now in the bank account? Or what is it that seems to appear in front of you? Your intuition takes you out of that range and starts to help you become alert to your creative self, to your soul, to the higher aspects of who you are in your connected state. So your intuition will work hand in glove with your creativity, with your new intent, and teach you what steps you can take. Now, something else that happens a lot when we're working with sacred geometry is serendipitous experiences. Because we're connected, we are able to notice that there's things that are happening that maybe we wouldn't have been aware of if we weren't being aware, or if we weren't being alert, if we weren't using our intuitive capabilities, our sensitivities. And those situations, we can read them differently. Again, it's our new perspective. Seeing something and going, wow, this is awesome. How can we play? So when we have a new conversation about our wealth and prosperity, we're playing in a whole new field. And we're also redefining, what does wealth mean? And that's a good question for you to ponder, for you to really, in a centered place, recognize, what does wealth really mean? And what do you want to create in your life? And do that from the perspective of opportunity, of abundance, of your creative spirit, which is magnificent. And also from a place of allowing. Allow universe to gift you. Allow yourself to dip into this wonderful earthly blessing that we have here.
Oh, it makes such a difference when you start working with that energy and love inside you. It reorganizes what I think of as wealth, because what happens is, when I'm satisfied inside, then I find that the things that I have satisfy me. I don't need more things to be happier. And it's really curious how some of the things that do take care of me come into my life. Like the home we're living in right now. When it was time to let go of our other home, which was about 18 years ago now, we were we put it on the market, and it was on the market for a couple of years, and nobody was interested in buying it. We changed realtors a couple times, and it just didn't seem like it was moving. No one was interested. And then we decided to do a ritual. So what we did is, we did a feng shui ritual. We changed some of the patterns of things in the home. We put up certain colors, certain places. But mostly what we did is, we shifted our context. We were putting it together, especially for me, I saw, of letting it go. I was ready to let my home go that I'd lived in at that point for 12 years. And what happened was, the very next day, we had 3 buyers come, all giving us offers, and they started bidding against each other. So we not only made the price of what we were asking, and even a little more so, but one of the other things that we wanted was we wanted to have the ability to live there and pay less than what we were in mortgage while we were building our present home, all of which happened. The person buying the home, his father suddenly died, which was a sad experience, but he said, I can't move forward on this. Why don't you stay there until I get my affairs in order, which was for the next year. And so it's just the way universe takes care of all of us. And then when we moved into our new home, this was a piece of land that we had been looking at, a couple hundred acres, with many other families, because we were going to build a co-housing community. But in the end, it took so long for all of it to come together that all of those other people left, and we were left with finishing it off, which wasn't that hard. But what happened was we got an incredible piece of property, couple hundred acres, with nature all around us, a special energetic place where spirit wanted us to build on vortexes and work with certain energetic pieces that prior to coming here we weren't even totally aware of. So spirit has been unfolding our life and just putting us in a beautiful place that we wouldn't have been able to do without our plans of going in one direction, and then spirit says, no, this is how you're going to go now. And then we allowed it to unfold. And that's the joy of working with spirit, working together with just allowing and being present, and the kinds of things that come into our lives. I mean, every time we go for a hike, we go, we're so fortunate to live here. It's so beautiful. It's quiet. It's just amazing. And it's a gift.
It is a gift. And honestly, we really didn't know how we were going to manifest it. We didn't know how the resources were going to show up. And we learned to get out of the way. We learned instead to just stay focused on what our intent was, what our goals were, what our picture, what we really wanted to create. And that, as we just partnered with the universe, partnered with other people who came forward, as we created relationships that were honest and meaningful, we were able to put all the pieces together. And that's what we want to share with you, that you can do in the very same way, along with working with our sacred geometric energy tools, so that you can be supported as we've been incredibly supported, to be in this magnificent field, this creative energy flow that has taught us so much and enabled us to have so much, so much that we can share with other people. And it's interesting, I'll tell you one more short story about, there was an attunement that a woman who was a realtor, who was involved in something called a short sale. She was, for about a year, she was trying to complete this sale for her client, and was unable to do it. And she had the heart companion, and she was listening to the attunement. And the very next day, this was $1 million deal, the very next day, it all came together. So something shifted in her field. Something enabled her to receive, to allow, and to put her perspective in place so that things can happen. And that's the way that wealth and prosperity works. You are a creative piece of the play. Use your joy, your connectedness, your love, and come to the table with all of who you are and ask for what you really and truly want, and how that can be brought to not only yourself, but to those you love, and to those you may not even know. It's a beautiful, beautiful play.
It is. And the more you focus on the good of all and being of service to all, the more you will be served. Because that's the nature of the universe. It takes care of those who are in service to love, who are in service to all. And thank you for joining us today.
And blessings.
And blessings.
Oneness Talk Radio. Hip, fresh, fun. Tune in to an honest portal of positivity 24/7. Experience unique talk radio from all around the planet, perfectly mixed with music that enchants your soul. Discover Oneness moments as you relax into 3 to 5 minutes of divine inspiration. Claim your oneness today. OnenessTalkRadio.com. One world, one voice. Expand your vision.